Officer at North Sydney Council. And tonight we've come here to learn more about Sydney's WaterFix Strata and Residential Program. This webinar is run in partnership with four other councils, plus North Sydney Council. So we've got Ku-ring-gai, Lane Cove, Mosman, and Willoughby Council. Before we begin, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands that we're meeting today, the Camaragal people, and their connections to land, water, and community. And we pay our respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. Um, just a couple of housekeeping things before we start. We are recording today, so all the mics and cameras have been turned off. We'll also be using this recording as a council resource. So some partner councils will be adding that to their this recording to their YouTube channel for future use. And also feel free to ask any questions along the way. Pop your comment in the Q&A section. If you've got a general comment, please feel free to post in the comment section. And before we begin the actual webinar, I'd just like to just briefly sort of address our North Sydney Electrify program and other local councils electrify programs that they've got up and running. A big part of the what we're doing today is related to this, and although we're focusing on water, it all sort of tied in with energy and water programs and how we can save both. And just a quick rundown snapshot of the North Sydney programs. This is from our sustainability strategy. We're looking at reducing greenhouse gas to back to 1996 levels by 65%. And so, yeah, you can see there we've got a long way to go, and we're focusing, a big part of it is on home electrification and business electrification. And you can see here that we've got on the left, from left to right pie graphs, we've got the national energy consumption. And in the middle graph here, we've got the split between exports and domestic. And then on the final graph, we've got the household contribution towards that. So you can clearly see that what we do in our own homes have the biggest impact on energy use and our emissions.
Mhm.
And this is really how we're going to reduce the community emissions by going all electric. So electric transport, renewable energy, including solar and green power, induction cooktops, swapping out gas, reverse cycle aircon for heating, and hot water heat pumps. So, and also, I suppose, adding to that mix is energy efficiency as it relates to water and minimizing their water use. Just a quick snapshot of the difference between a gas and a petrol home and electrified home. So you can see the running cost there. There's a huge difference over a 10-year period, and that's only going to that gap is only going to get bigger, and the costs for an all-electric home are going to become less as the grid becomes greener each year. So moving on to the rebates program. North Sydney Council and other partnering councils in this webinar do have rebate program. Not all do, but in the one in North Sydney, we offer support as part of the WaterFix program. So up to $2,000 for apartment blocks and businesses, and $250 for households. So that's a rebate for joining the WaterFix program. So some significant funding available there for anyone looking to reduce both their water use in their household or apartment block, so common area usage. Okay. So tonight, I just like to, what we're here for is to learn more about the Sydney WaterFix program. Basically, look, water is our most precious resource, and despite all the rains that we've had recently, we are in an El Nino cycle, and significant drought periods are expected over the next 7 years or so, or more. And it's really important that we monitor and fix any leaks that we have in our home or apartment buildings. So, without further ado, I'd just like to introduce Marie. Marie is a project officer at Sydney Water and part of the Water Efficiency Program team, and she's here to talk more about the both strata and residential programs. So, welcome, Marie. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jordan, and thanks to all the councils that are supporting our program, WaterFix. It was interesting because you did mention a few things there that, I think is very important for our customers as well. With council and our collaboration that we have with council, our customers can save a significant amount. So I would encourage you to have a look on your council website just to see what's available to you. So as Jordan said, my name's Marie Xanthos and I'm part of the Sydney Water Conservation area as a project officer. I previously worked in the WaterFix program, but today I'll be addressing WaterFix Residential and our Strata program. So for 25 years, our WaterFix residential plumbers have helped our customers reduce their water bills. In the past 5 years alone, our customers have saved over 800 million litres of water. So just to give you a bit of I'm sure everyone has heard through various publications that we've done about our WaterFix residential program. But what you're looking at approximately in cost, it's $44 for the call out fee or $16.50 if you're one of our eligible pension customers. So just to give you a bit of an overview, as I mentioned, the cost, it is open to residential customers, and that includes tenants, so landowners and tenants, but we do need some authority from the land. Hopefully you've got me back there. Apologies for that. So as I mentioned, we will need some sort of authority from the landowner. You can apply by calling our 1-800 number, or you can populate our web form, or you can send an email to waterfix@sydneywater.com.au. The services offered, so what we actually look at is minor indoor tap leak repairs or outdoor tap replacement. And we replace the shower head if it's inefficient to a 4-star Wells rated shower head, and also conduct some minor leak repairs to the toilet. Now, with our, as I mentioned, the success of our WaterFix residential program, what we were looking at is a solution for our strata customers, and that's where WaterFix Strata comes into it. So it's a service tailored to meet our strata customers' needs. We've had over 92 strata buildings participate in our program, which converts to around 5,342 units that we've serviced. Now, here's my colleague Simon, who some of you might have already met if you've had some dealings with WaterFix Strata. He's currently on leave at the moment and wasn't able to present today. So I'll play a short clip that was recently featured on the 9 News. I believe that Jordan will be sharing the slide pack. And as my colleague Simon mentioned, he did give a bit of a high-level overview, but I did think it's really important just to highlight some key points. So we're here to support you through the entire project. And what I mean by that is I mean from start to finish. We'll organise all the bookings, project management and after implementation support. This includes a post-implementation review. Our very high water usage customers will be offered a performance agreement, which means there'll be nothing for the owner's corporation to outlay. The project will actually be funded through the water savings of the building. Now, interestingly, actually, I was going to mention this at the upfront. When we're looking at the consumption, as Jordan had said, you can see that significantly around half of this consumption is internal to the property. So this is the water usage, and we're actually saying here, based on the graph, that 51.5% of water in apartment complexes is actually used for showering. So you can see just by offering this retrofitting service, you can get a considerable water saving. Now, Simon, my colleague, briefly mentioned about our benchmarking. Now, what we do is that we offer our customers a complimentary desktop assessment, and this is an excerpt from that. So what we can see here, it's showing that this particular customer is in fact water efficient and there's no further action required. Now, to apply for this, you can simply populate our web form or you can send an email to waterfixstrata@sydneywater.com.au. Just to show this particular dwelling graphically, again, you can see that they are quite water efficient. And incidentally, this will also be part of your complimentary desktop assessment, which you can share with the committee members if, in fact, in this instance where you are water efficient. Now, this is an example of what a high water user looks like. Their usage averaged at 353 litres per bedroom per day. So that would be classified as high. And graphically, you can see that not only is it 353 litres per bedroom per day, but it's actually progressing there at the last quarter, the last couple of quarters. In fact, creeping up to 420 litres per bedroom per day, which would actually be considered very high. I'll go through this in a moment as well in greater detail. Now, what does a water fixed apartment look like? We'll use this case study. Now, this is a case study that City of Sydney Council has provided. Again, we are very grateful of the support that we receive from our councils, and that's supporting our joint customers like yourselves. I'm sure that some of you that know the area in Darlinghurst would be familiar with this particular restaurant. Again, I don't know if you can quite see it there, but that's Beppy's famous restaurant there on the ground floor. So with this case study, yes, it was a success story. A little bit about the property. St James is a multi-use dwelling in Darlinghurst with 101 apartments and 2 commercial tenants operating on the ground floor. It was a former hotel built in the 1920s, and believe me, you can see just what a stunning building this was, both externally and internally. It was converted to a residential building in around the 1950s. So City of Sydney, again with their support, gave the building a grant for its neighbours rating and energy action plan. So that's quite similar to what North Sydney are offering. These success stories. Well, I was involved in this particular project, and I have to say, when I first spoke to the building manager, Patrick, he was quite surprised when I told him that I would be able to complete this project in 3 days for the 101 apartments. Well, in fact, true to my word, I did complete it in 3 days, or our team did, I should say, and we did get some good results. Now, I would like to comment just here that even though there's a reduction by 26%, you would have seen on that previous graph that we spoke about, there was an escalation from the average of 353 litres per bedroom per day. That actually got higher and higher, didn't it? So when you're looking at the 26%, I do feel, and in fact, it should have been high, but still a great result. Now, I think the results here of that graph simply speak for themselves. As you can see, this is the cost of doing nothing. So when we had that communication with the customer and benchmarked them, we're about 420 litres per bedroom per day, and that just escalated. And you can see there, it might not be that clear on the graph, but you're going up to 520 litres per bedroom per day. And that's what I was trying to refer to. When you see that reduction from the average of 353, you can see once it comes to this point, it's more or less around a 50% reduction. And you can see again that if they continue to do nothing, it would have kept escalating. So again, I'm very pleased with this result, as were the customers. Now, lessons learned. You will also receive, if you go ahead with our program, a lessons learned as part of our post-implementation review. So some key features here with the communication, which is crucial because we are stopping the water supply from this dwelling. So customers do need to be informed. And by informed, I mean we door knocked, we put posters up, we communicated with Patrick, the building manager, and we also sent text messages as well. So it's quite a comprehensive communication. And you can see here with the comments, Patrick's comments as well. We did the face-to-face conversations as well. So Patrick actually acknowledged the support of Sydney Water and also Council, and appreciates that that's why it ran so smoothly over the 3 days. And I would like to read just a brief comment here or quotation from Patrick. He said here, without the grant, we would not have been connected with WaterFix or have undertaken such a water saving project. And that's similar to, again, what North Sydney is offering. And a lot of our customers would not be aware of our programs was it not for the various councils. So again, it's something that we're touching on in the beginning when Jordan spoke about the energy costs. They are hand in hand. So in fact, again, water is such a precious resource, and we're only charging $2.67 per kilolitre. But the cost of water actually becomes twofold when you take into account the circulating, pumping, and the heating of water. So I know there has been a bit of a trend towards the Wim Hof method, but I'm sure most of you are actually using warm water or hot water when you shower. So this is my little attempt at humour. My last co-presenter, Ethan Burns, who you may know from Sustainability Now, has made this very true statement. So you cannot manage what you cannot measure. And that's what a lot of people do in terms of, when we're looking at goal setting. But in this scenario, we're just referring to our online monitoring. So we've recently expanded our offering to strata managers. And this is a great opportunity for our strata complexes to be able to monitor their water usage. So it is a highly subsidised program. Normally you'd expect to see a cost of around $1,500 to install a data logger and have the yearly subscription. What we're offering our customers, it's a cost of $495. So it's significantly reduced. And even better is that it also includes a sub-meters, which typically in the past, Sydney Water would not have records of, as it's not a Sydney Water asset, but this is included as part of this online monitoring program. Again, this success story might not feel as though it directly relates to strata. However, I would like to share it because I always think it's nice hearing from a third hand or second-hand person. But we also do have some success stories there on our website, and in fact, Council have reaped the benefits of this particular program as well. So Martin here from Delboro Marinas, you can imagine how they would have quite an issue of being able to monitor leaks because, again, they're surrounded with water. So Martin has said in his own words, this system is very user-friendly and has probably saved the environment from wasting 500,000 litres in the past 6 months. In the early months, we're identifying 5 or 6 small leaks at a time. And Martin goes on to say that he is going to install at the other properties, and in fact, he has. So what we do is we'll notify the customer of a leak alert or any anomalies there, depending on what their settings are. And you can see how this would be beneficial. Rather than getting bill shock, you'd actually know in real time when there's a leak in your particular complex. So thanks so much for your time. And again, thanks, Jordan, for hosting this webinar. We do appreciate council support in showing our customers how they can save water and money. So Jordan, I might just get you to take over there and then we can sort of, maybe go to any questions.
Yeah, sure. Thanks again, Marie, for explaining the WaterFix Residential and Strata program. We do have a few questions that are coming through now.
Right.
So the first one really is related to the online monitoring. I actually hadn't heard it before either. Is this why is it the first time like we're hearing about the online monitoring for strata buildings?
Yeah, and it is a good question. And in fact, it is based on customer demand
Right.
because what we did find is originally and if you look on our website, you can see that it is geared at our business customers. But what we found is our strata managers are actually a business. And our strata managers are trying to get the best for their customers and our joint customers. So when we're looking at the model, it is actually applicable to our strata managers. And we have had some good uptake there because I think it's people that have been burnt as well. Once you've been in a predicament where you've received quite a high bill, and that's through bill shock, when you think that this could have been avoided with the online monitoring, getting the leak alerts, people are quite quick to buy into that.
Absolutely. Yep, definitely. Great. Thanks for explaining that.
That's right.
Um, Another question we had was about outlaying any funds. You did mention in your presentation that residents aren't required to outlay any funds up front. Can you explain that further?
Yeah. So this is something that, and what I would encourage as well, if there's any committee members that would like to discuss, we can do presentations after hours. But just to give, and it is a bit easier to explain when you've actually got a physical quotation in front of you. But just for simplicity, let's say now we've gone out to site and we've determined that we'll see a 30% reduction in the water usage. So when we conduct the work and there is that reduction of 30%, that would be the amount that the customer's required to pay. But they wouldn't actually have to outlay that. They would just simply be paying their same account. So let's say now if your bill, for simplicity's sake, was $1,000, then with that reduction, you'd be going down to $700. But then what we'd ask them to do is just continue paying your account as you normally would of $1,000 until the length of the term comes to an end.
Okay, right. I see. Another question we have just as related to, I suppose, costs and how they're shared across particularly strata. If you are upgrading certain units and things in an individual unit, is that the individual owner's responsibility or is it strata's and who's paying for that? How do you see that?
Yeah. It's interesting you say that because I do get asked this on the daily, and I'm sure Simon would agree here.
Yep.
So what we do find is people do say that, and look, and that is actually true. As a unit owner, you are responsible for what goes in within that unit, unless it's structural. And, some people do sort of say, well, why should we be paying for all? Well, at this stage, if it's a property that only has 1 metre, you are paying for everyone's water usage. So if that person's inefficient, it's the blocks common goal there to make the whole complex efficient. And that's why with this particular project, we gain access to each and every unit. And I do find that often our customers find it quite hard to believe. But as I mentioned, just with the case study of Stanley Street, we door knock, we email, we SMS, we make sure we gain entry, and that's how we can achieve these water savings. And you saw with the case study that we put I had on screen, um, again, it was over 50% reduction when you're looking at that continual growth. So whilst it is the individual, if let's say we were to go into your unit, let's say, and there wasn't anything that we needed to do, well, you're not going to get charged for that, are you? Because there's no work for us to do. So that's sort of how it works. Whereas the neighbour or a property that's tenanted, there may be some more work to be done there. But again, everyone benefits in the reduction in that water bill.
Yep, great. Um, that makes total sense, really. And
Mm,
so, yeah, thank you so much for explaining the program, Maria.
mm,
It really is, to me, a complete no-brainer to
mm,
even just take the first steps and get started, both for
mm,
residential and strata.
mm,
Take that free assessment, get benchmarked,
mhm.
and then make a more informed decision there based on the results and your feedback from the team.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's very true. And again, as I mentioned, numerous times with council support, it ends up being like, let's say now, for example, Stanley Street, we actually did offer them a performance agreement, but because it doesn't say that in the case study, but obviously in my post-implementation review, they
Mhm.
actually came under budget. I would like to mention this. So what ended up happening, because we were under budget, they actually felt that they'd prefer to just pay the quote in full, and then they actually got the benefit of the water savings right away. So there's
Okay.
these numerous options.
Mhm.
And as we said, if there's also that benefit of council funding, well, that's what that would go towards.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but for in North Sydney anyway, the rebates would then pay off some of those initial
Yes,
costs,
yes.
or the maybe the initial site inspection costs or something like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's where the rebates would take yeah, work, yeah, for that kind of thing. So
Mhm.
yeah, and look, sharing those case studies, it's the payback, the short payback, and the water savings made are really incredible.
Mm.
So yeah, I definitely encourage anyone living in a strata building or in a home for the freestanding home for that matter to yeah, jump in and join the program, and or at least get that assessment and yeah, go from there. So we will certainly be passing on all the your slides,
Mhm.
a recording of this webinar, and the contact details for the Sydney Water team.